Hello. I don't really have an awful lot to say at the minute. Nothing bad, by the way. Probably something good. I just thought while the weather's nice, I'll come out and enjoy it. I've been sat inside quite a bit because work is busy in the respect that there's a lot of stuff that I need to do at home. So I've been sat inside trying to do a lot of stuff for work. And it is the weekend, and technically I don't get paid for it. They do say that I can book the hours, but I'm not entirely sure how I'm supposed to do that because our system is like a clock in, clock off system that is like physically at my place of work. So I don't know how to add the extra hours that I do when I'm not there, sort of thing. But anyway, I thought, you know what, it's too nice to be sat at a computer. So here I am outside, just enjoying the moment. I don't think you guys can hear it, but there's a little bit of the birds tweeting, and there's a little bit of wind blowing, so it just feels like a very nice, like Sunday afternoon. It's just after 4 p.m, so it's not too hot. It's still roasting for England. This is almighty Great Britain that we're at right now, and this is probably the, I don't know what, 8th, 9th day that we've had really good weather. So if you know England, it tempts you to believe that spring, summer is on the way. And then probably by Tuesday, it'll be absolutely slamming it down with rain and we'll feel like winter's here all over again. But as somebody who benefits from good weather, I thought I would get out and just soak it in, let the sun kiss my skin and just be out in the fresh air. I'm very lucky that I do kind of live where I live, in that it's not a city, it's a town, but we live on the outskirts, so we are near the countryside, and I am pretty much a country bumpkin at heart, so being this close to being able to get outside is really, really helpful. I find it really healthy, to be fair. I know that for me personally, it's one of those things that can help with my mental state quite a lot. That's something I was thinking about as well, actually. I know that this channel started off as me just kind of wanting to piece videos together as a sort of documentary to myself. And as people have started to pick up, I think I've sort of noticed that when I talk about stuff, I do sort of make it around me. That's sort of the focus, don't get me wrong, but I want to avoid falling into the trap of, if something works to me, like saying, oh, do this because it'll work for you. I don't think that that's it's not very right, I suppose. Like, there's no blanket thing that works for everybody. I'm quite happy to say, oh look, you know, I struggled with, for example, my mental state, and I noticed that for myself to get outside and be in the air, I benefited from that. I don't mind sharing that sort of thing as like a suggestion of, hey, this helped me. Maybe entertain the idea yourself, or I don't even know if that's right. I don't want to get to a point where it's like I'm sort of suggestion or preaching stuff. You should try this. You should try this, because everybody is different. It's something that I've noticed a lot is, I went back to that video that really popped off, and I had a look at a lot of the old comments, and a lot of people, and you're talking about 12 months ago, saying, oh, you should do this, you should do that, I do this and I benefit from it. And then you look where you can to see sort of like how they're getting on with what they were preaching and what they were telling you to do, and you realise that they're not making any more progress than what you are, or what they suggested for you to do at the time, kind of thing. And I find it very interesting that more moving forwards, I've noticed a lot more people are happy to tell you where you go wrong. They're happy to tell you what you need to do, and, you know, what you should be doing, and how they're great for whatever reason. But when you really see what they're saying, what they're doing, it never lines up. Like, people were very, very good at trying to make themselves seem that they're great and almost become quite aggressive with their advice in terms of you should do this, you should do that. But the reality is most people don't do their advice that they say. And it's almost like we seem to get into a position where it's more, I say even fun, like fun isn't the right choice of word, but it just feels that people get more joy out of ripping people apart and tearing them down than they do supporting them. And there's something that I've seen, I think his name, it's that Hamosi guy, something like that. Is it Alex Hamosi or something? And he said a little bit about when he was on the way up, when he was like sleeping in the gym that he worked at and everything else, trying to build himself up, he had a lot of support. But the moment that he started to make it, people started to turn on him. And it's interesting to see that people will support you whilst you're down because you're relatable. Like if you're in a crap spot and you want to do better, people will support you because you're relatable, because they're probably in a rubbish spot too. So it makes sense for them, like, to support the underdog. But the moment that you start to make progress, the moment that you start to achieve something, everybody's perception of you changes because you're no longer relatable, because you've kind of done what they didn't do. I would say couldn't do, but it's usually didn't do. And as a result of that, it's like they turn against you. And it's really interesting thinking about that and things, and looking forwards in just general life and everything else. And part of me is like, I wonder how long people will stick around and watch these videos for, because whilst a lot of people say it's relatable, that's that position of support. But then what happens if I start to get myself in a position of growth, or, you know, things change for me in a positive direction that like build me up or whatever else, and I start to grow? Like, what happens to the support then? Does the support then just peter out and turn into, oh, you only got there because of, sort of thing? Which is something, I won't lie, something that I am very conscious about, is if I make any sort of like success, however you want to define success, growth or something, financially wise, or in that sort of situation where I benefit from money, I genuinely wonder how many people are going to sit there and say it was only because of YouTube. The reality of it is, I'll share this little drop of statistic with you. The reality of it is, every month I make approximately, and I don't know what it would be in dollars, so let's just have a ballpark guess, shall we? I know what it'll be to pounds. I make approximately 25-ish pound a month from this channel. So in dollars, that's like, I don't know what, it's gonna be like $32 a month or something. Now bear in mind that the YouTube program pays out at $100. So that's like nearly 4 months before I pay out anything. People seem to have this weird perception that because you have so many subscribers and because so many people watch your stuff, that you must be like bringing in good money. And I don't know what it's like for others, but for me personally, I'm not rolling in cash. I make, like I say, I make basically a couple more hours worth of my, if I was to work, I make a couple more hours from YouTube. Now you think about, like, you know, the input of that recording, it's not a big effort to record, but it still takes time. Editing, again, I don't edit really drastically, but it's still time. It's little things like that that if you were to look at how much you were paid for the content that you produce, you know, I would really not be making much money per video at all in a way. But I'm not here to preach that. I'm just here to kind of put a big question mark over how people are going to twist if I manage to get myself somewhere in some way. Like, so I thought I'd just put this video out in a way that goes, look, here's a little statistic based on where we are at the current moment in time at, what is it, 5,900 subscribers, averaging, I don't know what, sometimes, I think the average is like 500 views a video. Some are a little bit higher, some are a little bit lower, but average is about 500 views. And yeah, I make just over $30 a month. I don't know. I just find it interesting. What I do find interesting is I see a lot of small channels who have done this whole, this is how much my first YouTube paycheck was. And it's like hundreds. But it feels that what I'm missing is I don't have a product to sell. I'm not trying to push some 12-step guide of how you can beat depression or, 10 ways to better your life or anything like that. I just think I'm just being honest and real and just going through the motions. Maybe that's poor for me because I'm not capitalizing on the audience that I have, but I also don't feel that I should be looking to part you guys with your hard-earned cash. I think that's very weirdly dishonest. That's why I'm more comfortable with the YouTube partner program paying me out based on, you spending your time to view the stuff. I think that's a fair enough trade. Like, I make this nonsense, you watch this nonsense, and I'm paid out by the platform that allows me to do this, rather than basically feeling that I'm conning you into buying something that, will or won't help. And I just see that a lot on a lot of channels recently, of like, they're all pushing something. Everybody's trying to sell something to you. And 9 times out of 10, it's not helping you at all. And there's something I really do believe when it comes to mental health. There's no quick fix and there's no one size fits all for everybody. I believe that my problems are my problems because of how my brain has taken them, how my brain has gone through an event, wired itself, and the outcome is whatever the outcome is. I believe that the only way for me to fix that is to try and detangle those wires, I guess. Like, I don't think, personally, I've never been one for medication or anything like that, so I find it's tricky to say, look, this is what helped me, you do this too. On the other hand of that, I don't think there's anything bad in saying this helped me and then letting you guys decide if it was something that you wanted to try. A lot of it has to come from the individual. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, I can't preach a specific path to go down, because what I'm learning in life is, for the best results, you have to do the action and the intent has to come from yourself. If I tell you, you want to get rich quick, follow this 10-step plan, and it doesn't work for you, you're going to feel let down that my thing was a scam. However, if I said to you, hey, so this was my situation before and these are the steps that I took and this is my outcome, that's what I found. I kind of fumbled through in the dark, basically, until I found the thing that worked for me. And that would be my suggestion to others, is like, you have to find the thing that works for you. Advice can only do so much of the legwork. The rest of it is finding it out ourselves. And I don't know if that's, like, I want to say that's a lie that I tell myself, but I feel it's something that you have to go through when you're just trying to work stuff out yourself, in whatever that is, whether it's like finance, whether it's health, whether it's mental health, whatever it is. You have to find the thing out yourself, because there's some things that people have suggested for a long time. And I can't remember what they are, I'm not going to lie, but it's a case of, you should try this, you should do this, you should do that. And part of you is aware that you should. Like, what they're saying isn't a bad thing, what they're saying is a positive thing. And you know deep down, yeah, I should do that. But you won't do it. And you won't do it until you're ready to do it. And that's the thing. I genuinely believe you won't change anything about yourself until you feel that that is where you're at. Until you feel that you want to put the effort in, there's no point in trying. Like somebody suggests you to do it and you'll do so much and be like, you'll half-hearse it sort of thing, and it won't come out anything. But the day that kind of penny drops in your own head and you realise yourself, right, I need to do this for me now. I'm not doing this because somebody's told me to do it. I need to do it for me. That's when change happens. Like, at least that's what I found anyway. I think it's about taking like accountability for stuff maybe, or responsibility for stuff. If you get advice from other people in a way, you can kind of lay off the responsibility to them. It's like, okay, well, this person suggested this to me and it didn't work, so, I'm void of all responsibility of it. I just did what I was told, so, it's not my responsibility that it didn't work. It was somebody else's information. Whereas if you go, right, this is what I have to do, this is the outcome that I've reached after trying all these different things that I've wanted to try for myself, I have to take responsibility for this. And that's where it starts to make the difference, once you start to take ownership of stuff. I think it helped for me, like going to therapy. That was a big step forward, because that was me going, I need to do something drastically about my mental state. And, I didn't reach out to anybody for advice or help. I just said to myself, I need to find a therapist. And I looked for the therapists in my area, and I looked for, through their profiles to sort of gauge who might be the best match. And I went through all those channels, and I didn't tell anybody for a long, long time that I was having therapy every week. And it does feel like it has been a benefit. It really does. It's not a quick process by any step. There's a lot that you have to work through, and you uncover a lot. You uncover a lot about yourself that you forgot. You uncover a lot about yourself that you buried deep down. But it's interesting. Like, therapy will help you find some roots to causes, but it doesn't fix your problems. It's basically, the person-centered therapy that I'm doing is a case of, I sit down, I talk to the dude, and he asks me questions about stuff, or he helps look at things that I've said to him in a different way. And then it's almost like a little light bulb goes off in your head, and you kind of question what you've experienced and what you've took away from that experience, and you break it down smaller and smaller and smaller so that you understand it. So it helps you in that respect. But yeah, some of the stuff that you uncover that you thought, or more that you didn't think that you knew about, stuff that you subconsciously remember but consciously forgot, things like this, and the layers to it, man, the layers is just crazy. And for me, it's been a lot of the insignificant details that have been the most significant. I think that's been the scariest thing, where you work out that tiny one event that happened when you was 5 years old has actually changed how confident you are going forwards, for example, in making decisions or doing anything like that, which has massively impacted your entire life, because you felt afraid almost to make a decision that impacted somebody else, was always looking for like confirmation from other people that you were doing the right thing, didn't get it, and therefore panicked about making a decision because you didn't want to hurt anybody. When you take that forwards in life, and it's a case of, job choices, do you stay, do you go, do you do this, do you that, and you're looking for somebody else to confirm to you that it's okay. When you're an adult, it's wild. It really is wild. But it's nice to see like where the cause comes from, and it gives you an ability to step back, almost like it's on a whiteboard, and you see the cause written down here and the effects all up here. It's nice to take a step back and go, wow, I didn't realise that. Like, once you see it as a big picture, once you see the whole thing, it is kind of wild, without a doubt. But yeah, my brain it's been working overtime, just thinking about so much, about growth and success, and how people will turn on me, or, you know, worry about how I'm putting things across. I don't want to seem like I'm preaching or anything else like that. And I worry about how genuine I come across, because I think this, as weird as it is, this channel is the one place that I felt that I've been the most me that I've ever been in a long time in life. Because I suppose it's because I get to choose what I post. If I'm having like a quirky moment where I'm a bit out there, you know, that doesn't get up. But when it comes to just talking and just chewing the fat, I just feel that it's been the most genuine that I've been. I don't feel like I have to pretend to be somebody I'm not. At the end of the day, it's a weird one, because the internet will judge you regardless. But I read a comment on one of my last videos that was really interesting. And it was about me when I said about it doesn't feel that there's been an awful lot of hate, or, you know, the toxic stuff at this channel has kind of really petered out quite rapidly, and everybody's very supportive. And the comment says something along the lines of, you get back what you put out, because you're putting such a genuine, you know, not hatred out there. I'm not jumping on political issues, I'm not being controversial or anything like that. That's this kind of audience that I'm bringing back. I'm bringing back an audience that is very supportive and very, I'd argue the guys are respectable, like massively respectable. So it's nice to feel that if it is true what you put out is what you get back, then I must be putting something, you know, something okay out, because what I'm getting back is good, which you know, it's really positive. It is really positive. Social media is a strange old thing, though, because it can really break your brain. Like, you look at Facebook, Instagram, all that sort of stuff, and it's the whole keeping up with the Joneses and trying to, what, people only put their best life out there, don't they? They only put the greatest achievements and all the flash out there, but they don't put the hard times and negativity, whatever else out there. And in the end, it causes a big chunk of friction between people. There's people that see it as something that, okay, so that person's achieved that, I'm nowhere near, so I'm failing, and I know what that's like. That can really break you down. And likewise, social media entices so much hate and toxic energy. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. But I will admit that Facebook isn't something that I even really use. I have a Facebook, and I basically only use it because it's mainly my friend group, if you can call it that. It's where we used to organise stuff. So we just used to be a big group, but now WhatsApp is the way forward. People don't want to share everything about them anymore. It seems like it was a trend that died out, thankfully. Having said that, I think it also depends on age groups. And I will argue that it also depends on genders, I suppose. This is going to be controversial, I guess, without meaning to be, but let's just take from my life example. I think people in my mum's range, females who are however old my mum is, like, Facebook can really mess her up because she's too busy looking at the perfect lives of everybody else. And the funny thing there is she's neglecting her own life, you know. I see it in the evenings. My mum will be sat there doom scrolling, and my dad will be sat there falling asleep because he's got no interaction. And then she'll go on about when they go on holiday, oh, he never falls asleep when on holiday. It's like, yeah, because it's almost like you're forced to engage with him. You know, you're not looking about what everybody else's life is like. You're living your own. So, you know, it's different. Thankfully, like I say, I check Facebook like once a blue moon now just to see what notifications are going on. And it's usually like this random person has commented on something. It's like, cool, don't really care. Same with Twitter. I only have a Twitter because I got a game channel, and it was the only place that I could find any news on one specific game. It was the only reason why I had a Twitter account. I barely post anything on it. There's no point. I'm not looking to engage, blah, blah, blah. I have an Instagram. See, this is what I do like about social media. It's like I keep everything separate. So my Instagram is specifically for like creative stuff. So I used to work at a bronze art foundry, and I would follow artists, I'd follow other foundries, and it gives you so much feedback in terms of that creative aspect. Similar thing to TikTok. TikTok is wild. It is the craziest algorithm you've ever got going. You tell that what you want to see and it will give you what you want to see. It's amazing. So I fed TikTok with, hey, I want to see creative stuff, I want to see engineering stuff, and I want to see comedy, and that's all it gives me. I don't see any of these weird dance trends or whatever else it is on TikTok. I see like really interesting, well put together educational stuff about engineering or really cool creative people or whatever else. And I think it's mind blowing. I do think a lot of socials is all about what you feed it. And I do think that we live in a world where people are too busy. I don't know how to explain it. It's like everybody wants a better life, but everybody's got to check on everybody else. It goes back to what I was saying before about you've got to check on other people to make sure that their life isn't as good as yours, because it's easier to hate on people. It's easier to pull people down than it is to lift people up. And you only lift people up to a certain extent, because once they start to achieve and stuff, they sort of drift out of touch. You're no longer on the same level. You can no longer relate to them. I don't know. Wild. Anyway, I'm waffling, and I don't know how long it's been because the sun's in my eyes. I can't see the time, but it's been real nice just to sit outside and just talk. And like I say, having that sun trying to make my pasty white skin a little less pasty white, but just listening to the birds. I really hope that they're coming on the mic. But I'm just going to enjoy myself out here for a little bit. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you again. Have a good one.